on sports and rehab therapies, and today I'm going to take you through some simple strength and conditioning exercises that you can do at home before and after your workouts to get the most out of your cycling. So today we've come down to the floor to look at the double leg bridge, which will progress on the single leg and the banded bridge. Lying down flat on the mat, relaxing the shoulders so that the scapula, the shoulder blades at the back, feel heavy into the mat and your shoulders are open, your chest is open. You want your back in that neutral spine position, so you don't want your lower back to be pressed into the mat, which tilts that pelvis, and you don't want too much of an arch in the back either. So just find that neutral spine where your pelvis, your hip bones that we refer to them as, are pointed straight up to the ceiling, and you've got that relaxed curve in the spine. The next important thing is the position of the feet. We don't want the feet too far away from the glutes because that's going to over rely on the hamstrings. Likewise, we don't want them too close in because that's going to lock you in and stop you from lifting up. And even if you can lift up, you'll have a tendency to lift through the toes, where we want activation through the heels. So a good gauge for this is just lying with that relaxed back, and without side bending or reaching, you should just about be able to graze your heels with your fingertips and then walk them about 2 or 3 inches further away. Next, keeping those feet in line with your hips. So you don't want your feet too far apart and you don't want them too close together. Just bring your feet together, walk them out until your heels are in line with your sit bones or your hips. Keeping the feet in line, and throughout the exercise we want those knees to stay in line with the hips. So as we push up, we don't want the knees to drop out, we don't want them to collapse in. So keeping that alignment at all times. So into the lift itself, with your arms just relaxed out by your sides, we're going to activate the glutes and drive the hips up towards the ceiling in one smooth movement. Taking a breath in, activating through the core by drawing the navel towards the spine and pushing through the glutes and through the heels up to that straight line between knee, hip and shoulder, holding there to stabilize for a few seconds, squeezing through the glutes, keeping the knees in line. We're then going to lower back down to the mat. So the primary target here is glute activation, a little bit of hamstring. You're opening up the hip flexors and driving up towards the ceiling. What we don't want to see, which you do see in some modalities like yoga, is that when you get to the top, you then flare the ribs and you tuck in the shoulders underneath and going beyond. This is a glute activation and strengthening and stabilization exercise. So we're stopping at that straight line, resting on the shoulder blades, no pressure on the head or neck, and lowering back down. In order to ensure that you're driving through the heels, you can just lift the toes off the mat slightly if you want to, and taking that breath in, engaging through the core, engaging through the glutes. We're going to squeeze and push through the heels until you get to that straight line. Once again, the knees are staying in line with the hips, they're not dropping out, they're not collapsing in, they're staying steady and in line to really fire up those hip stabilizers at the same time as strengthening in the drive up through the glutes and lowering back down. Now we've got the basics, we can bring the banded aspect into this. So it doesn't have to be a heavy band. It's not about how we can pull the band apart. This is about putting tension into the band to hold our legs steady and further fire up those hip stabilizers. So putting the band around each leg and taking it to just above the knees, what we're looking to do is create tension and hold, not to really pull apart. So back onto the mat with the band, exactly the same setup process, relax through the upper body, feet not too close but not too far away, relaxed arms, we're going to just put slight tension into the band, which is going to cause that stabilization through the hips. And holding there, we're going to take the breath in, engage through the core, drive up through the heels and the glutes, squeezing through the glutes and holding that tension on the band as we lower back down. Big breath in to engage through the core, exhale to drive up through the glutes to draw that straight line between knee, hip and shoulders. Steady tension on the band and lowering back down. Progressing to the single leg glute bridge, we're leaving the band where we are, and from that same starting position, we're going to bend the right leg so that it's in what's known as a tabletop position. That's 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee, and your shin is parallel to the floor and the ceiling. From here, the left leg stays in the same position. Engage that glute, driving through the left heel. We're pushing up and keeping that right leg in that same position and coming back down. So this time, as we drive up to that straight line between the left knee, hip and shoulder, we're putting tension through the band, which is making this a harder exercise and benefiting us with more strength, and lowering back down. Switching to the right leg, exactly the same principle, lifting that left leg to tabletop position, taking that breath in, engaging through the core, squeezing through the right glute to lift through the heel, and the separation of the band is creating the extra tension and extra workload and lowering back down. A progression of that, which you can see in the workbook, is to put the band underneath the right foot and round the top of the left foot. Again, lying down in that same starting position, bringing the leg into that tabletop. All this effectively does is puts more tension into the band and makes it harder work to lift through. Same principle. Take that breath in, engage through the core and drive through the glute to lift and lower back down. And that's the double leg glute bridge with single leg and banded variations.